It was past midnight when the knock came, hard, impatient, and full of menace. Alex jolted awake, heart hammering in his chest. No one ever knocked on doors at this hour in his quiet, manicured neighborhood. Pulling on a hoodie, he opened the door only to find a stack of papers taped across the frame in bright red letters. Notice of violation. Immediate eviction. His stomach twisted. This couldn't be real. He'd paid his mortgage, he'd followed the rules, or at least he thought he had. But according to the HOA, he had until sunrise to vacate the property or face forceful removal. Overnight. No hearing, no chance to defend himself. Just like that, his life was supposed to be uprooted. For a moment, Alex stood frozen on the porch, staring at the paper as if it might burst into flames. Who did they think they were? An HOA wasn't a government body. It was just a group of neighbors in suits drunk on power. But still, the threat was terrifyingly real. He could see two board members across the street, their silhouettes framed by porch lights, watching him. One of them, Mr. Whitaker, the HOA president, had a thin smile on his face, like a hunter who already knew the prey had no escape. Alex's pulse surged. Something was off, deeply off. No one got kicked out overnight. No one. He tore the notice off the door, stormed inside, and sat at the kitchen table, flipping through the pages. Violation after violation was listed. Unapproved garden lights, a mailbox that wasn't regulation size, even a claim that his dog barked past acceptable decibel limits. All trivial, all fabricated. But what shook him was the bolded paragraph at the bottom. In accordance with Section 14B of the Community Enforcement Rights, immediate removal of resident is authorized if the majority of the HOA board deems the property out of harmony with neighborhood standards. Alex had lived here 5 years, never even heard of Section 14B. It didn't make sense. Was this even legal? His head pounded as 1,000 questions crashed into each other. Then came the sound of footsteps outside, slow, deliberate, circling his house. He peeked through the blinds. More board members, 4, maybe 5. Why were they all here at 1 in the morning? Were they actually planning to drag him out? He grabbed his phone, ready to call the police, but a sickening thought stopped him cold. What if the police were on the HOA's side? What if they'd spin it as trespassing or refusal to comply? His house, his sanctuary, was suddenly a trap. But just as panic threatened to take over, he remembered something. Something his late father had once told him. Every contract hides a secret escape. You just have to read what they don't want you to read. Alex rushed to the old oak desk where he kept his closing documents. He tore through drawer after drawer until he found the massive HOA covenant binder they forced him to sign years ago. Dust puffed into the air as he opened it, flipping desperately. Section 14B, there it was. His hands trembled as he read. And then his eyes widened. It was there, the hidden flaw. Section 14B did indeed allow immediate removal, but only under one impossible condition. The board had to unanimously vote in person, with signatures witnessed by a neutral third party. He almost laughed. Unanimous? That meant every single member had to agree, and Alex knew for a fact there was one board member who despised Whitaker, the treasurer, Mrs. Klein. She had once whispered to Alex about how corrupt the board was, how they bent rules to crush anyone who dared resist. If she hadn't signed, the eviction was void. A flicker of hope ignited, but the danger wasn't over. He stepped onto his porch again, clutching the covenant binder like a weapon. The board members stiffened, expecting him to break down or beg. Instead, Alex shouted across the street, his voice cutting through the night. "Where's Klein? Did she sign this? Because unless you've got her signature, this whole eviction is illegal, and I'll drag every one of you into court." The smirk on Whitaker's face faltered. For the first time, Alex saw fear ripple through their ranks. They hadn't expected him to know. But before relief could sink in, headlights blazed down the street. A black SUV rolled up and stopped in front of his house. Out stepped Mrs. Klein herself, expression unreadable, a thick folder in her hand. The board members straightened, clearly unsettled. Alex's stomach sank. Had she betrayed him, after all? She walked slowly toward his porch, her heels clicking like a metronome of dread. When she finally spoke, her words sliced the silence. "Alex, you need to leave. Tonight." The world tilted. The one person he thought might save him had just twisted the knife. Whitaker sneered, reclaiming his confidence. "You see? Unanimous. You don't stand a chance." Alex's throat went dry. But then, just as the board's smug laughter filled the air, Mrs. Klein leaned closer to him and whispered, so only he could hear, "Play along. Trust me." She slipped the folder into his hand and walked back toward the SUV. Alex's fingers trembled as he opened it inside his house. Inside wasn't a signed eviction, but a stack of financial records. Evidence. Proof that Whitaker and his cronies had been embezzling HOA funds for years, funneling dues into personal accounts. Klein had been building the case in secret, waiting for the right moment. And now, with Alex as the bait, the trap was set. Rehook. Just when Alex thought he was about to lose everything, he realized he had something more powerful than a legal loophole. He had the very weapon that could dismantle the entire HOA. But the board wasn't backing down. Within minutes, Whitaker was pounding on the door again, demanding Alex hand over the folder. "You have no idea what you're messing with," he growled through the wood. Alex clutched the papers tighter. He knew if they got these records, his last chance was gone. He bolted for the back door, sprinting into the night. The chase was on. Porch lights flickered on across the neighborhood as shadows darted behind him. Tires screeched. The SUV was moving again. Alex's lungs burned as he tore down the sidewalk, Klein's whispered words echoing in his ears. "Trust me." But trust her to do what? To save him or to bury him alive in this game? He ducked into an alley, flipping through the folder as he ran. Bank statements, wire transfers, even signatures tying Whitaker to offshore accounts. This wasn't just HOA corruption. It was fraud at a level that could land them in prison. But if he exposed it, would he survive the night to tell the story? Another twist slammed into him as his phone buzzed. Unknown number. He answered, breath ragged. It was Klein. Her voice was sharp, urgent. "Get to the old community hall now. They'll follow you, that's the point." His mind raced. Was this a setup? Or the only chance he had? Either way, there was no turning back. He darted toward the hall, heart pounding louder with every step. The doors loomed ahead, old wood creaking as he pushed them open. Inside, the lights flickered on, and there stood Klein, not alone, but with two sheriff's deputies waiting. For one electrifying second, Alex thought he'd been betrayed. But then she held up a sealed envelope. "They've been investigating Whitaker for months. Your part is done." The board stormed in seconds later, red-faced and furious. But instead of overpowering Alex, they were met with cold steel handcuffs. The deputies moved fast, reciting charges of fraud, conspiracy, and abuse of authority. Whitaker's smirk finally vanished as he realized the trap had snapped shut around him. Alex stood frozen, sweat dripping down his temple, the weight of the night crashing over him. He wasn't losing his home. He wasn't the victim anymore. He was the reason the entire rotten empire had crumbled. But just as relief began to flood his chest, Klein leaned in once more, her voice low and dangerous. "Remember, Alex, tonight you won, but this neighborhood has deeper secrets than you know. Don't get comfortable." And with that final twist, the night ended. Not with peace, but with the chilling realization that the fight for his home had only uncovered the first layer of something much darker.